So, no, here's the story. The Office of the Government Ethics released President Trump's annual financial disclosure report yesterday. It revealed that the president pulled in at least $2 billion in 2025. His crypto-related income in 2025 included about $515 million from the sale of tokens from World Liberty Financial, and another $65 million from sales of equity in World Liberty's holding company. He also received $635 million in royalties from Celebration coins. It wasn't immediately clear what those coins are, though Bloomberg is reporting that the royalties are related to Mr. Trump's meme coin business. Now, he earned more than $86 million in legal settlements as well. Those included the $24.5 million from Meta, $16 million apiece from Paramount and Disney. And President Trump's biggest stock holdings include Amazon, Meta, NVIDIA, and Tesla.
Right. Okay. So lots of questions. Tell me what the answers are to the questions, because we don't have answers to the questions, right? I will tell you. I'll tell you one other thing. He made $4.7 million from. I almost contributed to that. Trump watches. Okay, Trump-branded watches. I was going to buy you one. I can't remember which one. Mag, you know, as a deal. So this is. I say this a lot, and his support, the others, you know, people say this is how Trump rolls, and it is how President Trump rolls. He's selling watches. He's selling Trump-branded watches while he's president.
I think that's different than some of the.
Well,
the Bitcoin and other issues that his administration is having an impact on.
Right. You have to. And ethics watchdogs obviously are going to be all over this. Democrats, if Democrats retake the House, they're going to be all over looking at this. The people in charge of some watchdog groups are saying there needs to be reform across the board in government.
Should a sitting president be allowed to trade stocks on a regular basis?
Well, he's not. That's discretionary. His is supposed that they emphasize that that's discretionary. The journal points out he has a vast and sundry business. That Donald Trump does. There's no doubt about it. His sons are running it. They're not stupid, I don't think. And to go from making investments to being able to prove that there was quid pro quo or influence peddling, or whether people just think if I do this, I'm going to be in.
But is Burisma the same thing with Biden?
That's what I mean. And okay, how about this question? If he was not president, would his businesses have gone up more or less than what happened?
Well, you tell me.
I don't know. These are my questions. That's why I'm asking you for the answers.
So let's start on the World Liberty business.
Yeah, because that was $15 billion. It's now $400 billion or something, or one of them.
Okay, so that business wouldn't, I don't think, first of all, crypto regulations would have been different probably under a different president. So the opportunity for all those crypto businesses would be different.
But does that mean that they should not have tried to make
No, it's just can you benefit?
The spokesperson says that the president has made crypto, or made the United States the leading country in the world.
I understand that. I'm just, look, the thing that I care about as an American is I would love for all of this to just be no money involved with anything, so you are not raising these questions, because invariably what happens is you sit here and you say to yourself, are certain people making decisions for a reason? And by the way, it may not be that the president is making specific decisions to enrich himself, but it may be that there are other people who think that they can influence him. Right. And maybe they're influencing him, and maybe they're not. But either way, we sit here and we have to say to ourselves, what's going on? The UAE made a massive investment in World Liberty. Would the UAE, you just said what would have happened if he wasn't the president, right. Would the UAE have made a massive investment in Liberty Financial?
You have questions?
I don't know.
That's what I said. Questions, but no. You know what is good? That there is all this disclosure.
Sure.
Amazing.
The disclosure is good. I think it kind of raises the question, though. I think of it more of like when you were allowing the railroad to expand. If you had known about if you were going to make some of those changes in advance and you could buy the land along the way before anybody else knew about those things. I don't know. I don't know exactly how this worked out, but those are the types of questions. If you have regulatory control and you also have the first mover advantage of knowing.
Look, I think that I've spoken about very on the show with you about Nancy Pelosi and the trades and how I would tell you that is, I think I've used the word shameful.
Right.
So if I can say that about trading, what would you say about this? I'm asking.
That's why I told you that you need to tell me how to think about it, because I have questions, but I don't have answers.
I think the answer ultimately is that we have to find a way to make it such that our politics are somewhat immune from money, and we've created a system that, at the minimum, allows for the perception of effectively bribery. That's
what is also, it's unprecedented. There's no doubt.